Hi, I'm Mallory Hernandez, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about foster care. There are currently 463,000 children in the foster care system, and 33% of them are due to abuse, including physical, mental, emotional, and sexual abuse. Foster care is when a minor is placed in the care of a state certified caregiver. The government or social agency usually places the child, and the caregiver is salaried the expenses. I have grown up around foster care for my entire life. My father has worked in one of the largest foster care agencies in the United States for the last 30 plus years. Foster children have always been involved in my life, and I think it's really important for people to understand a little bit more about foster care. I'm briefly going to share a little bit about the history, the process, and the effects of foster care on children. So we're going to start out with the history, and in 1636, Benjamin Eaton was the first child placed in foster care in the United States at the age of 7. In 1853, Charles Brace started the movement in New York for all of the homeless children, and this started the foster care system we now have today. As a result, social agencies and state governments got involved, which led to 3 states promoting the movement, including Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, and South Dakota. In the early 1900s, social agencies began to supervise foster parents. Records were kept, children's individual needs were considered when placements were made, and the federal government began supporting state inspections of family foster homes. Services were provided to natural families to enable the child to return home, and foster parents were now seen as part of a professional team working to find permanency for dependent children. The process of foster care starts by someone deciding they want to become a foster parent. Some of the qualifications needed to become a foster parent include physical, emotional, and developmental needs of the children, and you must also be able to give 24-hour supervision, be financially sound, and provide the child with a safe environment. You must complete background checks and have the ability to work as a team. To become a licensed or certified caregiver, you must find contact information for an agency, make the call to the agency, and then you will go through an initial meeting. In the meeting, you'll explore your interests and capabilities of raising a child. Your family will be assessed, and background checks will be done on all members. And then you will be able to go through orientation and pre-service training. After all of this is done, you will be a licensed caregiver. Placing a child is a little bit different, and as a biological parent, you can place a child up to 1 year without being prosecuted for child abandonment. After a year, usually a child gets placed into foster care when the parents are seen as unfit to raise a child. Some of the effects of foster care can be very detrimental to children, and I'm going to explain a little bit about the psychological, suicide rates, and attachment of children that are in the foster care system. Some of the psychological effects of foster care is when a child deals with high levels of stress, they tend to be affected throughout their lives. Suffering from traumatic situations can cause a child to have extremely high anxiety, which can lead to other issues such as mood swings, impulsiveness, and sleeping problems. Suicide in the foster care agencies is really high, and children in the system have a higher rate of committing suicide or having suicidal thoughts. Around 23% of children in the services have had suicidal thoughts or committed suicide, which is extremely high. And some kids have attachment issues after they have grown up in the foster care services. As stated by the Developmental Issues for Children in Foster Care, a child develops attachments and recognizes its parents as adults who provide day-to-day attention to their needs for physical care, nourishment, comfort, affection, and stimulation. So when a child does not get these things, they grow up with attachment issues. There's also emotional consequences of multiple placements on a child, which disrupts them and are said to be harmful at any age. And the premature return of a child to the biological parents often results in return to foster care or ongoing emotional trauma for the child. Children with attachment disorders or an inability to trust and love often grow up to vent their rage and pain on society, which can be very dangerous. So it's a big thing for foster care agencies to work with the children and make sure that they have the help that they need to deal and cope with their situation. Some of the large foster care agencies in the United States include Boys Town, which provides intensive residential treatment, specialized treatment group homes, intervention and assessment services, treatment family services, foster family services, in-home family services, and child and family support services. Another really big agency in the United States for foster care is Casey Family Programs. They focus on helping children transition into adulthood successfully, and they also provide adoption services, guardianship, kinship care, and family reunification. Another really big agency in the United States is the Center for Children and Family Programs. Their main goal is to enhance the lives of vulnerable children and families in foster care. Throughout this speech, I really hope you have understood a little bit more about foster care and why it is such an important thing. I hope you have become a little bit more educated on the history of foster care, the process of foster care, the effects on children of foster care, and some of the large firms in the United States. Thanks for listening and enjoy.